Hi, everyone. We are back. And with all this going on these days with the coronavirus, we thought we would talk this week about what we see we can do to really relate to and deal with what's going on in the world today. It's quite dramatic. And so when we think about the coronavirus from the standpoint of health, the first thing that comes to my mind is the immune system. So, what can we do to strengthen the immune system? And I guess the first thing I want to point out is that when we're in a state of reactivity and stress, when we're in that kind of fight or flight situation, which so much of the news today has so many of us feeling, that actually suppresses the immune system. So we'll talk more about this at the end in terms of what we can do in terms of state of mind. But just in terms of the things that we have learned over the years really helps to support and strengthen the immune system. Let's start with nutrition.
Yeah, they're finding that what controls the immune system most is the microbiome. So, one little step we can take is to make sure we get lots of fiber because that really fuels and feeds our microbiome. Where does fiber come from? High nutrient dense foods, whole foods, close to nature.
Yeah, whole food that has all the fiber in it. So, eating apples instead of drinking apple juice.
Yes.
Kind of thing, yeah. And the interesting thing about when we're under stress and we're all worried about what's going to happen to the world, my finances, my health, all of that. So often that has people reaching for foods that actually suppress the immune system.
For sugary, fatty, salty, processed.
Yeah, all these things. So it might be something just to keep in mind. If you're feeling stressed and see yourself reaching for food, what kind of food are you reaching for? Because it's like Connie said, the high nutrient dense, high fiber foods that really support our bodies to have the greatest alertness, the function of the immune system to detect and protect is on high alert when we give it what it needs. Another thing that's real important for the immune system is rest and sleep. Because the immune system really goes into full scale kind of cleanup of the day's garbage, so to speak, at night while we're sleeping. So good idea to get plenty of rest. And I heard recently a new phrase, I like this, toes up by 10.
Yeah, or before. Often we'll go to bed at 9:30.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're usually in bed before 10, but
yeah.
Yeah, there's always so much to do. But it's interesting to look at it in the light of the circadian, the natural rhythms that our bodies all respond to and are geared to respond to, and the immune system and all the cleansing that happens in the body, and it happens at night. And there are a lot of ancient traditions that point to the fact that getting plenty of rest, resting after the sun goes down, getting to bed by 10 o'clock is a good practice.
Good.
Yeah. There were some other things I wanted to mention too. Let's see.
Well, one thing to have good sleep, you've got to get rid of the computer and the phone and the all the electronic devices. And they say to really support melatonin to do its work, it's best to stop all of that, your TV, your computer, your phone, 2 hours before bed. You don't want that blue light just constantly striking you because that makes it hard to fall asleep and also more difficult to get deep sleep.
It's amazing what scientific research is showing us, isn't it? In a way, it's kind of common sense. If I look at what's happening in my mind and my level of activity, if I'm on the computer doing stuff right until I crawl into bed, there's a different level of rest. Whereas if Connie and I read, we often read to each other in the evening. We've been reading and just relating, and that when I go to bed, I'm starting from a much more rested place.
True.
Yeah, it's so true.
True.
Another thing to consider is movement, how important movement is to the immune system. Because movement gets the body, everything in the body circulating. It's getting those nutrients that we put in, it's getting them out to the cells. So movement is good for that. Movement is good for moving the lymph. The lymph is the system in the body that takes all the garbage out. When the immune system is really active and, getting rid of bacteria and virus that's in the system, it's the lymph system that takes all of that out. So movement is really important.
Yeah, we exercise a lot. 6 days a week I do. At least 2 hours, a bit more than that. And I feel it's vital as we get older to really maintain our flexibility and our core strength. So I encourage you, if you're not doing exercise, start with a 20-minute walk. Just do a vigorous walk around the block and begin to get your heart pumping and the body being able to distribute nutrients and cleanse itself.
Yeah, it doesn't have to be vigorous, heart-pounding activity. It's movement. The body loves to move. And so find something that you love to do, and that involves movement. And start adding that to your day if you haven't already. And I think the last thing to touch on is state of mind, which is what we started with. When the mind's all busy and caught up and stressed out about what's happening and what does this mean, it really suppresses the immune system. And I think one of the things that's been really valuable for me to look at recently is how often what I stress out about, because I'm kind of a natural worrier, what I worry about is always about something in the future that I'm making up might happen.
Yeah.
It's so interesting. And as I've seen this, as I've understood the nature of this worry, when I get caught in it now, it's much easier to see what I'm doing. It's almost like a young child making up a story about, the boogeyman coming tonight. And, a child can really buy into their stories and get scared, get terrified. And I'm kind of doing the same thing. What's going to happen to my finances? Will I have enough money to live on for the rest of my life? What's going to happen to my health? What if I don't, I can get into the worry mode. And it's not that any of those things don't need to be considered in my life. Of course I need to consider them. But when I see that the worry is about a made-up story projected into the future by my mind, because Connie and I are in the same situation, let's say, in our finances, and one day I'll be worrying about what if, and Connie's going, everything's cool. So what's the reality? What's the reality of my life? If I look at my life right now, things are good. So if I allow myself just to relax into right now.
Well, you know what's helped me a lot? I've thought about the coronavirus and how do I really feel about it? And I see I can jump into a scared thought and build a big reality out of that. And that's not where I want to live. What is of value to me is what I know deep inside is life is living me. Life is coursing through everything and everyone. And I know I can trust that. And all that's necessary for me to do is respond to what life brings. I just relax completely and I just respond. I'm more cautious. I don't run out in social situations so much right now. But I'm not scared and I'm not building thought castles out of dark stories.
Yeah. So there you have it. There are a number of things that we can do to be prepared. And the main thing is what we can do to support our immune system and what we can do to keep a balanced mind. Rested mind. Yeah, so.
Lovely to be with you. Thanks for joining us. And the recipe, we did an Alfredo sauce, put it over brown rice pasta spirals with mushrooms, spinach, and red pepper. And then we topped it off with faux or cashew Parmesan cheese. It's so good. So check it out. Give it a try. It's a rich sauce, so we usually don't have that more than once every 6 weeks. But it is delicious.
Yeah, it's good. It's all cashew based, so no dairy.
Yeah.
All supporting the immune system.
Right.
So there you go. Have a wonderful week.
Let us know if you have questions down below in the comment section.
Bye for now.
Bye.